3 devastating biblical secrets to break free from any addiction now. In a world where whispers of the supernatural dance through the air and secrets fester in the shadows, 3 devastating biblical secrets are waiting to explode into the light. The kind that can shatter chains stronger than steel. The kind that promise release from the rolling tide of addictions that drown hearts and suffocate souls. Every tremor of the earth seems to pulse with the charge of this powerful knowledge, daring anyone brave enough to listen. It was a stormy night in the small town of Pine Ridge. Lightning slashed across the sky like a sword, illuminating Sophie Winslow's dilapidated attic. The air felt electric, charged with secrets that lay buried for far too long. Suddenly, a flicker caught her eye, a dusty, ancient book lying half-hidden under the floorboards. The connections she felt to that book were undeniable, like a moth to a flame. She could sense its weight, its potential, and before she even opened it, her heart raced with what it might hold. As she cracked the spine, the unsettling aroma of mildew curled around her like a dark shroud. The yellowed pages whispered stories of those who had found freedom from their struggles. Descriptions danced before her eyes, stories of miraculous breakthroughs steeped in a divine love and power that called to her in the dead of the night. Her fingers trembled as if they held the weight of the world. The book felt almost alive in her hands. She couldn't help but wonder what those who turned its pages experienced. What could they accomplish? What were their secrets? Would she find hope hidden among the words? News of this book spread through Pine Ridge, igniting hushed conversations and furtive glances. People peeked from behind curtains, grappling with their own demons. Curiosity turned to fear, and fear festered into disbelief. In corners of local diners, whispers tangled with murmurs of doom. "She'll bring trouble, that girl is playing with fire," echoed throughout the town. Tension hung thick in the air, as if everyone sensed that something monumental was about to unfold. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But just as Sophie's hope surged, a chill swept through the attic. A bone-deep sense of foreboding rooted her in place. What if she was meant to bear the burden of this truth alone? She took a deep breath, her lungs burning. The attic creaked in protest, as if warning her to turn back. But stubborn resolve kicked in. It wouldn't be the first time her heart led her into uncharted waters. What are you willing to sacrifice for freedom? Those words echoed again in her mind, leaving knots in her stomach. A plan began to form. She'd confront the townspeople and share what she uncovered. What if she could save them from their chains? Yet in that tumult of hope and fear, one question lingered: would the truth save them or destroy everything they held dear? Even as the whispers of the past merged with those of the present, Sophie was not about to back down. The town, the darkness lurking within it, and the unanswered questions loomed like a storm cloud over her head. The storm raged outside, but in Sophie's heart, a different tempest brewed. She could feel the weight of responsibility settling like a vice around her chest. The very thought of confronting the townspeople filled her with equal parts dread and determination. If she shared the book's secrets, would they scorn her or embrace this chance at redemption? With her mind racing, Sophie descended the creaky attic stairs. The old wood groaned beneath her weight as she stepped into the dimly lit hallway. Dust motes danced in the flickering light from a nearby window, and she could have sworn she felt a presence behind her, something watching her closely. "Get a grip," she whispered to herself, shaking the thought away. She stepped into the living room, just as the clock struck 7. Its chime echoed ominously, a reminder that time was slipping away. The town hall meeting was only an hour away, and she had yet to gather her thoughts, but just as uncertainty threatened to drown her conviction, a loud knock broke the stillness, reverberating through the walls like thunder. Blood rushed to her ears, and her heart raced. She wasn't expecting anyone. As she turned to the door, her pulse quickened. Who could it be? No one ever knocked this hard. The townspeople feared the secrets that had surfaced, and now they were confronting her? With trembling hands, Sophie opened the door, revealing a figure silhouetted by the threadbare porch light. It was Lucas Harper, her childhood friend. His dark eyes were wide, the urgency of his expression striking. "Sophie!" he gasped, breathless and agitated. "You need to get out of here. They know about the book, they're coming for you." The gravity of his words crashed over her like a tidal wave. "What do you mean they? Who's coming? Everyone's been talking. Your name is circulating. They think the book is cursed, dangerous." He took a step closer, urgency etched across his features. "You have to trust me. We need to leave Pine Ridge before it's too late." Sophie felt the ground beneath her shift. Panic crept in, but anger flared up like a fire. "You can't be serious. This could be our chance to break free from everything that holds us back." "Break free?" Lucas interrupted, his voice echoing with a mix of fear and disbelief. "Sophie, it's not about freedom anymore. People are scared. They think you're unleashing something dark. They're gathering, planning. I heard them at the diner. They want to stop you one way or another." The realization hit her hard. The storm raging outside wasn't just a tempest of nature, it unleashed fury within Pine Ridge. The townspeople would never understand the truth, would never accept the help she hoped to offer. Instead, they'd see her as the enemy, an agent of chaos. She gripped Lucas's shoulders, her breath coming out in ragged gasps. "We can't just abandon everything. I need to tell them." But beneath her bravado, dread coiled tightly around her. "Please," Lucas pleaded, his eyes darting nervously. "They won't listen to reason. Come with me right now." A chilling wind howled outside, rattling the windows, amplifying his urgent plea. Sophie hesitated. Her heart fought against logic. What if he was right? If she remained, would she be facing a mob driven by fear? But deep down, the book's power pulled at her, urging her to step into the light of truth. The sound of distant shouts echoed through the night, jagged and sharp. The darkness was closing in fast. Sophie felt her mind racing, choices crashing against one another like waves against a rocky shore. Would she flee and abandon her mission, or confront the darkness and risk everything? And just as she made her decision, the sound of footsteps approached the door. A crowd was gathering, hungry for answers, brimming with accusations. What would happen next? Would she be ready to face what lay ahead, for better or for worse? Sophie's heart stopped when she heard the footsteps outside. Voices rose and fell like waves crashing against a cliff. She felt the urge to bolt, the fear gnawing at her, but something anchored her in place. This was her chance, the moment she'd envisioned since discovering the book. "Lucas," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I can't run away from this." "Sophie," he hissed, panic flooding his tone, "if you stay, it'll be dangerous. You won't get a chance to explain. They will take matters into their own hands." The next loud knock on the door sent a shiver through her. It was deeper than the last, reverberating with authority. The crowd was reaching a fever pitch now, a cacophony of shouts and heated arguments. "What do you think they're saying?" Sophie whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "They're furious. I heard someone yelling that you've brought a curse upon us. You have to trust me." Sophie searched his eyes, seeing the boy from childhood beneath the urgency. But now, he was right. The crowd wasn't going to listen to reason. An icy chill swept through her, and she glanced toward the door, afraid of what she might face. "Okay, we need to leave. Just give me a moment." She released Lucas's shoulders and turned back to quickly gather her bag, thoughts racing like the storm outside. The book lay open on the table, pages gently fluttering as if beckoning her. It held truth, wisdom, power, everything she needed. She couldn't simply leave it behind. "Get the book, Sophie!" Lucas cried, his urgency making the hair on the back of her neck stand up. But as Sophie reached for it, something prickled in the air, a surge of energy that seemed to connect her to everything: the book, the storm, even the townspeople outside. Her hand froze just inches above the worn pages, a whisper of doubt slithering through. If she left, what would happen? What if the book remained behind? It held answers that could help people break free from their fears that turned them into monsters. Fear that twisted hope into darkness, but the brunt of their rage would land on her shoulders. Now! Lucas shouted, yanking her back to reality. We don't have time. With a reluctant sigh, Sophie snatched the book, clutching it to her chest like a lifeline. Let us go. As they dashed to the back door, the shouting outside turned into something different, menacing, a roar that echoed down the streets. Hurry! Lucas urged, flinging open the door that led to the small, overgrown garden behind the house. The air hung thick with tension, and the distant smell of rain mixed with something acrid, something akin to fear. They stepped outside, the world around them dark and wild, but just as they slipped into the shadows of the garden, a voice cut through the chaos. Sophie! Where are you? It was Clara, her former friend, standing at the front of the group, her face twisted in anger. We know you're in there. You can't hide. Sophie froze, heart racing. Clara had always been the voice of reason, the one who listened to both sides. But now she stood among the growing tempest, her face a mask of betrayal. Lucas pulled Sophie back into the darkness, heart pounding. We need to get out of here now. But a terrifying thought gripped Sophie. Would running only leave the town in the clutches of fear? What if she had the power to guide them to enlightenment? The decision weighed heavy on her, as heavy as the book in her hands. Above them, a deafening crash of thunder shook the night, startling her into action. The crowd surged closer, their angry voices a boiling pot ready to overflow. Go! Lucas urged once more, urgency dripping from every syllable. One choice would lead to safety, another could lead to chaos. As they sprinted towards the woods, a scream sliced through the air, one of terror, one of realization. Had they crossed a line? Did she really want to flee from the very people she wanted to help? And just then, she felt the book pulsing against her chest, as if it held the secrets to not just save their town but possibly to save a piece of herself. Would she embrace its power, or would fear chain her to the past? The answer loomed on the horizon, glinting like lightning, waiting to be discovered. The shadows were closing in, and Sophie realized every moment counted. What had she unleashed? Would the storm take her down or reveal her path? Sophie's legs moved desperately through the overgrown grass, every step a muffled heartbeat beneath the chaos unraveling behind her. The screams, the shouts, they slashed through the night, raw with a fury that made her pulse quicken. She could feel Lucas beside her, his body tight with anxiety as he glanced back, urging her onward. Don't stop! He shouted, his breath quickening with each zigzag they took through the thick underbrush. We have to put some distance between us and them. But where were they running to, exactly? Sophie's mind raced, every thought a tangled knot of fear and resolve. I can't just leave them, she gasped, slowing her pace. The words felt foreign, yet they bubbled truth, a desire to reach out, to guide, to help. Clara will only lead them in a wild hunt. Lucas's voice was a harsh whisper, cutting through her confusion. They're not thinking straight. Fear can turn friends into foes. If only she could explain, if only they could see the truth, the light she believed the book held. Fear made people act like animals, but Sophie. Lucas called, his voice sharper now. You can't save them this way. Disappointment flooded her chest, and the weight of the book nestled tightly against her body felt heavier, almost too much to bear. Could she really expect to turn the tide against this storm with just a few words? Suddenly, a bright flash of lightning illuminated the path ahead. It cast eerie shadows, and for a moment, she thought she saw figures moving in the distance, almost like a dark wave rolling toward them. Was it the crowd? Had they already found their trail? Lucas, we need to hide. She whispered urgently. He nodded, eyes wide with adrenaline. They plunged into the thickets of trees lining the edge of the garden, their bodies concealed among the bent branches and thick vines. The night air lay heavy, filled with the scent of earth and rain, underscored by the damp scent of fear that seemed binding. As the storm intensified, thunder rumbled low and ominous. The echoes of the crowd grew closer, their shouts morphing into a symphony of anger and panic. Sophie pressed her back against the rough bark of a tree, glancing nervously at Lucas. Do you think they'll give up? His jaw clenched. Not if Clara has anything to say about it. She's not going to back down. The thought twisted her stomach. She had never imagined Clara could become so consumed by emotion, by fear. And just as Sophie began to doubt herself again, a sudden surge both electrifying and terrifying coursed through her veins, as if something within her was awakening. The book pulsed from inside her bag, a gentle throbbing that tapped into her heart's rhythm. "What is it?" Lucas asked, noticing her pause. "What do you feel?" "I don't know. It's like it's alive, it's reaching for something." A thunderous crack nearby sent them both jumping. The trees trembled, branches shaking ferociously. They exchanged glances, fear mixed with something else. "I think it's trying to tell me something," she admitted quietly, her heart pounding against her ribcage like a drum. "What? What do you think it says?" Sophie took a deep breath, an air swirling thick with anticipation and horror. Maybe it could show me how to help them," she whispered, realizing it wasn't just about her anymore. "But what if it makes things worse?" Their breathing slowed in the silence that followed. In that moment, the storm outside felt less chaotic, as though the world paused for a fleeting second. "I need to know what I can do," she declared, conviction surging back. "If I believe in this, maybe they will, too." Lucas met her gaze, a sense of urgent understanding flashing in his eyes. "Okay," he said firmly, "but if it goes south then we fight together. No matter what happens." As lightning split the sky into brilliant shards, Sophie squeezed the book tightly as if it might untangle her fate. But another scream, sharper and more desperate, sliced through the air. No, it couldn't be. They were getting closer. She took a step back from the tree, adrenaline sparking. "Let us do this." Together, they forged ahead. Not just running from the storm, but towards something unfathomably deeper. Would the book grant her the resolve to confront the growing shadows ahead, or would it become her downfall? Each moment dripped with uncertainty as they pushed onward, knowing that beneath every answer lay a new question. The darkness was closing in, and Sophie could feel it. Everything hinged on what they would discover. And just before they plunged deeper into the woods, another voice twisted through the night. "You can't escape forever, Sophie. This isn't over." With that chilling reminder echoing behind them, Sophie inched closer to the precipice of what lay ahead, the tempest swirling with danger and discovery. What awaited them just beyond the trees? Sophie pushed through the thick brush, branches snagging at her clothes and scratching her skin, but she barely felt the sting. The pulsing of the book inside her bag called to her like a relentless siren, urging her forward while shadows loomed just behind. The dark figures they fled from seemed to blend more and more into the storm, their angry screams growing fainter yet more menacing in the distance. "Do you hear that?" Lucas whispered, his eyes flicking nervously towards the chaotic sounds from their pursuers. "We shouldn't go much further. They'll follow us. We're so exposed." "Not yet," Sophie replied, pushing onward with a glimmer of her own determination. "This is where I start." But uncertainty clung to her every step. What if the book's promises weren't real? What if it only brought more chaos? "Tell me what you wanted to do," Lucas urged, gripping her shoulder tightly. "We can't keep running without a plan." Sophie sighed, feeling the weight of the book against her hip. "I wanted to help us bring everyone back to reason. I believe there's a way to reach them." But that conviction was tested by the fear that coursed through her veins. With every bounding step into the depths of the forest, the air thickened with tension, laden with the scent of rain and desperation. As the sharp sound of branches snapping echoed nearby, they both froze in place. Was it them? Or had the mob finally caught up? Sophie glanced over to Lucas, whose eyes were wide, their edges glistening with fear. "We can't stay here," she urged, pushing past the knot of worry in her stomach. "If this book really is alive, perhaps it can protect us, guide us. Or it could lead us right into their hands," Lucas warned, stepping gingerly backward, but Sophie felt a steadying force deep within. "Trust." With a sense of urgency, she reached for the book. It pulsed louder now, resonating like a heartbeat in her palm. It had to mean something, the legacy of power woven in those musty pages. She could almost hear whispered secrets wrapped in the wind. "Here," she said, motioning to a tree hollow. Let us hide here for a moment. As they squeezed inside, surrounded by roots tangled like fate itself, the tension tightened around them. Do you really believe it can show you something? Lucas asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I have to, she breathed, closing her eyes to block out the world. Just, give me a second. In the darkness of the hollow, Sophie let her instincts surge, focusing on the sensations pulsing from the book. It throbbed with warmth, beating against the cold of the night, linking her to something greater. The storm outside roared, louder and louder, as though the universe was challenging her to step up and claim her destiny. A vision swirled in her mind, quick flashes of the people they had left behind, their faces twisted in turmoil, fear masking reason. They need us, she murmured, desperation creeping into her voice. If we can light the way, they'll follow. But before she could delve deeper into that idea, a sudden crack of thunder echoed overhead, accompanied by a blinding flash of light. The book pulsed violently in her hands, and Sophie jolted. As her eyes flung open, a single, terrifying truth gripped her. They weren't alone. Outside the hollow, a figure hovered, shadowy but distinct. With each strike of lightning illuminating the forest, she could see Clara's face, twisted with fury made grotesque by the storm. You think you can save them? Clara's voice cut through the thunder, menacing and twisted. You don't know the depths of what you're dealing with. Panic surged, and Lucas grabbed Sophie's arm, ready to bolt, but she held firm. We're not afraid of you. Sophie shouted, though her heart raced with primal fear. Another rumble echoed above, the wind picking up in fierce intensity. The forest became a living thing, alive with ferocity and anger. The confrontation felt inevitable, the choice clear yet daunting. Step out of that hole, Clara taunted, or you really will lose them all. Sophie's pulse quickened as she considered their next move. Was it time to confront the darkness or retreat into obscurity? The world outside thundered with uncertainty, and everything hung in balance. What will you do, Sophie? Lucas's voice was steady, but she could sense his fear. Would she truly risk it all? She could feel the weight of the choice pressing on her, her instincts urging her to take a stand. Yet in that same moment, doubt surfaced, a sharp whisper of perhaps she wasn't ready. Lightning crashed again, close enough that they felt the electric charge in the air. With Clara's dark figure waiting, Sophie knew they were about to find out which path they would take. But could they harness the power of the book and the light within her? Would standing up mean facing the darkness head-on? As she steadied her breath, a shocking realization hit her. Sometimes confronting the fear was the only way to break free. But what did that really mean when darkness sought to consume them all? And just as she gathered her courage to step from the hollow, she heard Clara's chilling whisper, "It's too late for you to turn back, Sophie. You have no idea what you're truly up against." Sophie's heart raced as she faced Clara, the storm swirling around them like a frenzied beast. The air crackled with electricity, and she could feel the weight of the moment crushing down on her. It felt as if the forest had become a living entity, holding its breath in anticipation. "Let them go, Clara!" Sophie shouted, her voice breaking through the roaring wind, a single spark of defiance kindling in her chest. "You don't have to do this." Clara laughed, a chilling sound that echoed in the darkness. "You still think you can save them? They've already chosen their path. You think your little book can alter that?" Her eyes glinted with a mix of malice and something else, desperation? Longing? "What's done can be undone," Sophie countered, suddenly fueled by the power of her own belief. "I won't let fear dictate our fate." Thunder rumbled overhead, drowning out their words for a moment. Lucas, still holding Sophie's arm, glanced nervously between them. "We can't stay here much longer," he warned. "We need a plan." Clara's lips curled into a smile that was more a grimace. "Oh, sweet Lucas. You really think she can save you? Look around. This place is filled with darkness. You're too late, both of you." Sophie felt the book thrum against her hip, urging her to take action. She remembered the warmth, the pulse that had woven its way into her heart. "I won't give up on them. I'll show you." With a flourish, she opened the book, the pages flipping wildly, the storm around them matching the chaos inside. "Show me!" she cried out, pouring her will into the book. The wind howled louder, and the ground beneath them trembled as the words on the pages began to glow. Suddenly, Clara lunged forward, shadows reaching out like tentacles, hungry for Sophie's resolve. "You're a fool!" she screamed, a desperate edge breaking her calm facade. "You'll destroy us all." The book released a blinding flash of light, surrounding Sophie and Lucas in a cocoon of brilliance. At that moment, time froze. They were no longer just hiding in the hollow, they were perched on the edge of something greater. The light surged, illuminating their surroundings, as visions flooded Sophie's mind. Faces appeared, friends and family etched with anguish, but also hope. Moments from their lives, filled with laughter and warmth, surfaced like fiery ember against the creeping shadows. The storm outside muffled but couldn't erase those memories. Sophie embraced the feelings of love and connection. "This is what we need to fight for," she shouted. "Not just for ourselves, but for all who still believe." The glow intensified, blinding Clara for a moment, but just as the tide seemed to turn, chilling cold enveloped them. The brilliance of the book clashed against Clara's darkness, and Sophie staggered back. She felt the weight of Clara's hatred, a physical force that threatened to unravel everything she was building. "No!" Clara bellowed, her voice filled with fury. The shadow surged forward like a monstrous wave, reaching for Sophie's light. "You think you can harness this power? It's beyond you." Sophie gritted her teeth, every emotion clashing within her. "I will not let it control me," she insisted, even as dread washed over her like a freezing rain. She could feel Lucas's grip tightening even more on her arm, the fear reverberating through him, and through her. The ground beneath their feet shook again, a tremor stronger than before. Trees quivered, leaves whipped violently in the wind. It was a battle of wills, hers against the abyss that Clara embodied. As the shadows tried to engulf them, she pushed forward, pleading silently for the book to amplify her will. "We are not alone. We have each other." Her words echoed through the chaos, almost as if the force of her belief could topple Clara's dark reign. For a split second, the shadows hesitated. Did they sense the fracture? For that fleeting moment, hope flickered like a dying candle. Could they truly fight back? Then, Clara's laughter rang out again, shrill and hollow. "You're naive, Sophie. The darkness is eternal. You'll see. You've already lost." Her dark figure loomed larger, suffocating the light around them, leaving Sophie feeling small and desperate. The weight on her chest grew heavier, but she held onto Lucas tighter, sensing his unwavering support even in the face of fear, and just as it felt like the walls would close in, a rush channeled through the pages of the book, lifting Sophie and Lucas from despair. But the question loomed larger than ever: what would it demand of them to turn the tides completely? With her heart pounding, she summoned all her strength, knowing their battle had just begun. But would it be enough to confront Clara and the darkness that now threatened to consume them? Lightning split the sky, casting ominous shadows. The path ahead grew darker. The moment of reckoning was closing in, more than Sophie could ever have prepared for. "What do you have planned for us?" Lucas murmured, fear replaced by determination in his eyes. As she readied herself, the lines in the book began to swirl, pulsing with ancient mystery. Something was coming, something that would either save them or seal their fate. And just as Sophie prepared to act, a soft but clear voice rose above the chaos. Wait, it was the book. It was whispering secrets, ancient truths waiting to be uncovered, but would they be revelations that could lead to salvation, or would they unravel everything they thought they knew? Light enveloped them, and the whispers from the book grew more urgent. Sophie strained to catch its words amid the chaos. Each syllable reverberated with power, like a heartbeat that matched her own racing pulse. Clara's shadows writhed and twisted, desperately trying to snuff out this newfound hope. "What does it say?" Lucas shouted over the howling wind. His eyes reflected both trust and fear as he clung to Sophie. It's revealing something," she gasped, feeling the energy surge within her, the book pulsing in her hands. "It talks of choices of courage." As the shadows lunged closer, she threw her voice into the tempest. "We are not defined by our fears. We can choose another way." The words felt like a shield against the darkness. She could sense the doubt flickering in the shadows, like a light dimming in the face of the sun, but Clara wasn't done. Your brave little words will amount to nothing, Sophie. She howled. The shadows responded, rushing forward, a tide of despair threatening to drown them all. Then, the book exploded with radiant light, amplifying her voice through the storm. You, Clara. You're driven by your own fears. You think darkness holds all the power, but it only thrives where light is absent. With her heart thundering, she felt her courage spark something deep within her. The wind whipped furiously, almost as if the forest itself was reacting to her words. For the first time, Clara staggered back, uncertainty leaking into her posture. You're wrong. She yelled, but there was a crack in her confidence. Am I? Sophie pressed, stepping forward, the book vibrating against her chest. You think control comes from destruction, but real power lies in connection. Remember the moments of joy? The love? It outweighs everything you've built in fear. The shadows paused, wavered, as their grip loosened. Sophie could see faint glimmers where all-consuming darkness had reigned, memories emerging like flickering fireflies. I can see your pain, Clara. Sophie shouted, her breath coming out ragged. You don't have to live in this darkness. We can enough. Clara screamed, her voice breaking. A wave of fury hit back. Shadows surged again, this time more viscous, more alive. But within the chaos, a new spark ignited in Sophie's heart, urging her forward like an invisible force. Lucas! She cried. We need to focus together. Draw the energy from each other. He nodded, his expression fierce. They joined hands, grounding each other as the energy swirled. They closed their eyes, feeling the pull of the earth beneath them, the weight of this moment, this battle, and they focused on the memories of loved ones, joy interspersed with the pain. As Sophie opened her eyes, the world around her blurred, the storm becoming a whirlwind of colors. The book radiated warmth, and the shadows recoiled from its light. With a single thought, she channeled all her love into the grip of the pages and shouted, "We choose hope." A surge of energy exploded from the book as a brilliant wave washed over them, rebounding against the surrounding darkness. Clara's screams pierced the night as the shadows encircled her, angry and swirling like a tempest. But just as the darkness threatened to recapture its grip, a sudden silence fell. The forest paused, as if the world was holding its breath. Sophie felt the shift, the uncertainty, and then she knew they were on the brink of a decision. The book vibrated, shaking insistently, and Sophie felt something begin to lift from its depths, an ancient truth waiting to surface. What now? Lucas gasped, breathless, awakening from the euphoric surge. Sophie's heart pounded as she felt the tremendous weight of fate pressing upon them. Whatever it reveals, we have to be ready. With that said, the pages of the book began to turn rapidly, racing ahead until a single image caught her eye, glowing brighter than anything else, a symbol pulsing with an energy that felt familiar yet monumental. But what did it mean? And could they harness this power against Clara's ever-growing malice? As the silence deepened, Sophie sensed the impending storm of revelation. The winds howled ominously, and with every passing second, the ground felt less solid, a warning, or a promise. Whatever the secret was, it would challenge everything they knew, but would it guide them to salvation or seal their fate in darkness? The room trembled as the book vibrated louder, and the light pulsed like a beacon of hope and trepidation. Sophie and Lucas squeezed each other's hands, their hearts racing in unison. The symbol on the page flared, illuminating their faces, etching the frantic urgency onto their expressions. What is that? Lucas whispered, eyes wide, caught between awe and fear. I don't know, Sophie replied, feeling a mix of dread and anticipation. But we need to find out. The image began to shift. What had started as a glowing symbol twisted into shapes, fractals of light that danced before their eyes. It seemed to portray a journey, monumental steps towards overcoming darkness. Threads of bravery intertwined with choices made in despair, a vivid tapestry of human emotion unfolding. Sophie's breath hitched as a stranger's face flitted past the unforgettable gaze of her grandmother, a woman who had faced her own battles in life. Look! Sophie gasped, pointing at the flickering images. These are people we love. I see them, Lucas. They're part of this. But Clara's wrath shattered through the moment. You think those memories will save you? Clara's voice dripped with venom. You're nothing without the darkness. You'll drown in your own foolishness. The once trembling shadows were now a tidal wave, surging fiercely toward the duo, desperate to extinguish the light. Clara stood tall amidst her chaos, emboldened by their fear. In that instant, the brilliance of the book dimmed as if recoiling under the weight of Clara's darkness. "Stay strong," Sophie shouted, feeling the warmth of past connections bolster her resolve. "Hold on to the love. Remember why we fight." A swell of memories erupted within her family gatherings, laughter spilling like sunlight over the room, shared secrets, comforting hugs. All of it coalesced into an almost tangible force, stretching from the book into the very cores of their beings. "Can we push back?" Lucas asked, his grip tightening on her hand as shadows dashed dangerously close. "Together! We channel all we have!" Sophie cried, the words pouring out of her like a tide of emotion. They closed their eyes once more, grounding their thoughts in the love that flowed through them. The book, now feeling heavier in their grasp, shone as if deciding to choose them. Could they unite against fate? Find freedom from Clara's grip, both literal and emotional? Now! They yelled in unison, and a golden light erupted from the book, expanding like a shockwave. It clashed against the encroaching darkness, a brilliant explosion of energy that sent shockwaves through the forest. For that brief moment, hope soared as the shadows recoiled, shrieking in dismay, but then everything grew still. The light flickered, and in that pregnant pause, Clara's face morphed from rage to something else, something darker, deeper, more cunning. "You think you're free? This is only a taste of what's to come." Sophie and Lucas exchanged frightened glances. Clara's words hung heavy in the air as shadows twisted, coiling like serpents ready to strike again. "What does she mean?" Lucas's voice trembled, eyes darting toward Clara, who had now reclaimed her footing, a smirk twisting at the corners of her mouth. I think she knows something we don't," Sophie breathed, dread seeping into her bones. As Clara's shadows began to gather, swelling with an unavoidable darkness, a question loomed large: how much time did they have before Clara used her full power against them? The ground beneath them trembled again, this time with urgency, calling them to action. They could either stand strong or allow the shadows to drown them once more. In that moment of uncertainty, the book vibrated insistently again, perhaps revealing another secret hidden within its pages. Perhaps a way out, or a way deeper into danger. What would the book unveil next? And could Sophie and Lucas steer their fate toward light, or would the darkness win? The veils of shadow thickened, and a cold wind whispered their names, drawing them in deeper. The air felt electric, charged with fear and uncertainty. As the shadows drew closer, a cold sweat trickled down Lucas's brow. "We need to figure this out," he urged, his voice strained with desperation. The words fell out of his mouth like a prayer, clinging to the thin threads of hope dancing in the darkness. Sophie nodded fiercely. She was aware of Clara lurking, her darkness a palpable presence, threatening to swallow them whole. The shadows undulated, swirling ominously, but evidently, they had struck a nerve. The book pulsed softly in their grasp, as if whispering promises of salvation. "Look again!" Sophie cried, her eyes darting across the intricate shapes emerging from the book. "It's showing something new." Patterns emerged, different from the memories they'd seen, more convoluted and intricately woven. It was a puzzle, a labyrinth of choices and consequences, twisting upon itself, revealing paths to take or to avoid. Lucas leaned closer, squinting at the images. "Is that us?" he breathed, spotting their own likenesses caught within the threads. Moments played before them, fractured glimpses of laughter, arguments, heartaches, all part of the tangled web shaping their destiny. It made Sophia's throat tighten, the bittersweet truth of their lives laid bare before them. "What if we're being shown our fears?" she mused, her voice wavering. "Those things that paralyze us, what if they're also our strengths?" Lucas finished her thought, eyes wide with realization. Suddenly, Clara's laughter cut through the suspense, chilling them both. Such sweet dreams wrapped in bravado. She crooned, her wicked smirk broadening in the dim light. "You think confronting shadows will change the inevitable? You're still trapped. You cannot escape from yourself." Sophie felt the weight of Clara's words, but buried beneath them, a flicker of defiance ignited. "We can't let her win." she shouted, determination coursing through her veins. Those memories, those fears, they're not just chains. They're lessons. Each thread has a purpose. As if sensing her resolve, the book began to glow fiercely again, illuminating the shadows that crept closer. The flickering light cast a radiant warmth around them, pushing against the oppressive darkness. Sophie and Lucas held on tight to each other, recognizing the bond they shared was also a weapon against Clara's reign of fear. "Let us call on our strength," Lucas urged, lifting his chin as he met Clara's gaze with newfound courage. "Give her everything we've faced." They closed their eyes, envisioning the memories once more, the love, the laughs, the loss. Each image became fuel, feeding the light emanating from the book. In that moment, it felt like a part of them ignited. The shadows screeched as the golden light intensified, dispelling the encroaching darkness inch by inch. "Together!" They yelled once more, and the book exploded with a fierce light, a raw force that pushed Clara's shadows back, forcing them into retreat, but the moment felt fragile, too perfect, and a palpable dread hung in the air. Clara's voice dripped with venom, laced with amusement. "You think you can dispel me with memories?" she sneered. "You know nothing of true darkness, but you will learn." The shadows wailed again, and Sophie felt her stomach drop. Beneath the raucous cries, she sensed Clara brewing something more sinister, something deeper, a power yet unleashed, one that could shatter their intentions and dreams. "Lucas!" she shouted, gripping his arm tightly. "What if she's right? What if we haven't seen the worst of it?" Before Lucas could respond, the ground lurched violently, a tremor of chaos wrenching them from their thoughts. Then, a new chilling whisper swept through the air, a warning echoing from the depths of despair. "Something's coming. Something worse." And in that moment of unrelenting terror, they understood, the hardest battle was still ahead. Their light was flickering, and the shadows were far from defeated. But how far could they go to truly confront their fears? What hidden power lurked within the tumultuous pages of the book? The darkness beckoned them into the unknown. As the shadows writhed and twisted, threatening to engulf Sophie and Lucas again, the realization washed over them: they were not just fighting Clara, they were wrestling with their own fears. The air thickened, every breath a reminder of the stakes. Sophie felt the book pull at her, its energy surging like an electrified heartbeat, desperate for them to unite and channel their hope. "Lucas, we have to face it," Sophie breathed, determination sharpened by a newfound clarity. "We have to confront everything together." She could see the apprehension flicker in his eyes, but he nodded, resolute. "Together," he echoed, as if her words were a lifeline pulling him from doubt to eye. In that moment of strength, Sophie opened the book, the pages fluttering violently as if the very act invoked the storm around them. The wind howled, and for an instant, the shadows paused, unsure of what was to come. "It's telling us," Sophie gasped. "It's time to embrace not just the light, but everything we fear." The passages illuminated with ancient language, glowing symbols igniting like stars bursting to life. They spoke of unity, of courage birthed through vulnerability, reminding Sophie of everyone she loved, everyone she fought for. "Remember the good, Lucas!" she shouted, igniting the connection between them. "Each drop of pain has shaped us. It's what gives us strength." As if an answer, the book pulsed, the symbols aligning to forge a path before them, a tapestry woven with their shared memories. Lucas stepped closer, his eyes alight with understanding. "It's our journey. Our battles, we've survived them for a reason," he exclaimed. The shadows hesitated, darkness suddenly incongruous against the glow of their resolve. "The fear is part of us, but it doesn't define us," Sophie pressed. "Clara believes she wields all the power. But we can turn her darkness into light." At that, Sophie began to recount her memories aloud: the warmth of her family's love, the laughter shared with friends, the lessons learned through heartache. Each memory became fuel, filling the air with vibrant energy that countered the blanket of despair. "Let us reclaim every moment," Lucas shouted, his voice joining hers, amplifying the resolve. "We won't let her win. We will choose hope." More memories surged: obstacles they had faced, tears shed, but also kindness returned, laughter shared after loss, and love that grew stronger from pain. With each word, the book blazed brighter, illuminating the forest, pushing the encroaching shadows back step by step. Clara's rage was palpable, it twisted around her, a wild and desperate fury. You think mere sentiments can save you? This is a fool's errand. But as the light expanded outward around them, enveloping Clara's darkness, the shadows snapped and crackled like a live wire, unable to cope with the force of their collective love. Sophie felt invincible. She wasn't just fighting for herself or Lucas, she was reaching for everyone in Pine Ridge. Let our light shine. The shadows recoiled as if pierced by sunlight. Do you really believe in those memories? Clara's voice trembled, even as she tried to appear unmoved. In that moment, a crack appeared in her facade. The darkness faltered, and Sophie seized the opportunity to dive even deeper. Yes. We believe in each other. Sophie yelled, raising the book high. Together, we stand. Suddenly, the book erupted with radiant energy, spilling light through the forest like a wildfire consuming darkness. Lucy could see the walls of shadows ahead melt under its warmth. The laughter and love flowed through her, spilling out into the storm. In that moment, the memories wrapped around Clara, light and connection binding her tightly. No! Clara shrieked, her voice laced with panic as she fought against the tether. You will not take me down. You can't break me. Sophia's heart pounded in her chest, but with each heartbeat, the light strengthened. You are more than your fears. She cried. You can choose to rise above. The shadows twisted violently, but Clara's figure began to flicker, her anger dimming beneath the warmth of connection of hope. You don't understand, she hissed, torn between fury and something else, something almost vulnerable. Then help us understand. Sophie urged, courage igniting within her chest. We all have fears. Show us your pain. In a cascade of brilliance, Clara's shadows fell away, light engulfing her, leaving fragments of her behind. The truth of shared fear began to weave itself through the air. The shadows trembled and released, the darkness that once defined Clara crumbled away, revealing the girl Sophie used to call friend. A guttural sob rang out, echoing in the heavy night. Clara fell to her knees, anguish contorting her face as if the weight of years pressed down thickly upon her. I'm lost, Clara cried, her voice trembling. I don't know how to move beyond it. Sophie stepped forward, heartache mingling with compassion. Then come with us. Share your struggles. You don't have to bear it alone. The words hung there, heavy yet liberating. The storm began to quiet, the shadows retreating and melting away like mist before the dawn. The lush earth around them felt real and warm, as if embracing the light they unleashed. And just like that, the darkness unraveled, releasing its hold as the book glowed even brighter, now a beacon for all who sought liberation. Together Lucas whispered, his voice shimmering between the two girls. We can heal. As the storm faded, clouds dispersing like fears, hope bloomed anew in Pine Ridge. Sophia felt the heavy weight lift off her chest, replaced by an unyielding sense of purpose. Whatever lay ahead, be it fear, pain, or even joy, they would face it together. As long as they had love, as long as they had each other, this was just the beginning. And if you found inspiration and power in this story, you need to subscribe now. Make sure you're part of this journey moving forward. Smash that like button now to let the algorithm know these stories matter. Flood the comments section. I want to hear your reactions, your theories about the ending, what they mean for you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Let us spread the light together.